thanks for staying with Facing the Nation. Of course, we look a little different. We had some technical issues. I can partially blame the minister here. So we had to remove our background, which I know most of you love. So, but we're still here. So that's all good. Thanks for staying tuned. If you're now tuning in, you missed a great conversation, a really refreshing one with Ms. Tandai McAllister. But now we're also going to talk to another candidate. As you know, one of the things, well, those of you who have been following us on social media, one of the things the youth, not necessarily only the youth arm, but the young people of the People's National Congress Reform, one of the things some of us would have decided to do silently, in some corners we're talking about it, is that we're trying to push the positivity of the youth faces and the youth agenda, without getting, too conflicting. One of those youth members that has accepted the nomination for vice chairperson of the People's National Congress Reform is the minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Annette Ferguson. She's no stranger to this program, even though she owes us a lot because she has not been here for a very long time. I think it's about a year. I trust that she's going to answer to that. Yes, we're calling her out today. Annette Ferguson, welcome back to Facing the Nation, ma'am.
Malika, thank you very much for having me once again on your program, Facing the Nation. And to the viewing public out there, it's always, or has always been a pleasure, coming into your homes through this source of medium. So once again, thank you for having us in your home this afternoon.
All right, great. Because I know some of you're at home and you're wondering what's going on in some corners of public infrastructure, even though they've been very public about it. But first off, remember I did say earlier on social media that we're dealing with the PNCR's business today. I'm very excited. I boast about it. It's the most democratic party. It's a giant in our country, and we are preparing to observe and celebrate and so on our 20th Biennial Congress, which is going to be on the 17th, the 19th, the 17th, the 18th, and the 19th of August. First off, before we even talk about Annette's bid for vice chairperson, let's talk about Congress in general, because she's also a sitting member on the committee preparing for Congress. Let's talk about those preparations, what's happening, and as much as you can give to the public at this time, because even people who are not members of the PNCR are very interested in what happens there. So let's talk about that for a bit.
Okay, Malika, as I think all viewers are aware by now that the 20th Biennial Congress of the People's National Congress Reform gets on its way from the 17th through the 19th of August, in another week and a half time. However, in order to ensure that Congress is organized, the activities are effectively executed, a Congress committee has been established, and members of Central Executive, also non-members of Central Executive, comprise that committee. So these are the committees you have. Outside of the General Committee, you will find subcommittees such as Transportation and Accommodation. That's what I'm responsible for. You have the physical preparation. Another colleague is also responsible for that. You have the actual opening of Congress. There's a committee. Another colleague is responsible for that. We also have like the finance committee headed by another colleague. And also, what is the other colleague? What is the other committee? The other committee will be dealing with meals and refreshment. So it's about roughly 5 committees that has been established to effectively plan and to ensure effective implementation of those preparations for Congress come in another week and a half time.
Okay, all right, great.
So far, we're moving smoothly. We met last week to ensure that we are running on stream, and if there's any hiccup, we were able to have those effectively addressed last week. So I guess in the coming week or days leading up to Congress, the committee will be meeting to final fine-tune the preparations for Congress.
All right.
Finally, yeah.
Great. Now, let's deal with the other big thing, the big issue that we're all talking about, and it's really is going to be it's already interesting to watch, an interesting race. I did say earlier that Annette Ferguson has accepted the nomination for vice chair. Let's be clear, because we've had some confusion on social media. For people who've been following it on social media, the PNCR's structure provides and allows for 2 vice chairpersons. Those of you who've been following me know that I've been promoting 3 of them. Do not ask me where my 2 votes will go. I will not tell you at this point. One of those persons are Lady Ferguson. You have accepted. Why
Yes.
at this time?
Why at this time?
Yes, I'm just asking the simple questions first, you know?
Okay, good. Well, Malika, you see, as you rightfully put in your opening remarks, that the whole outlook of the PNCR, it's one of a democratic process. And leading up to Congress or any even conferences, party members at the level of the groups, they have an opportunity to meet among themselves and decide who they would want to nominate for a particular position or post. So why I have accepted the nomination for the post of vice chairperson is that the membership of the party probably saw something within me and decided that, well, look, it is time Ferguson get a try at this one. So I don't want to let them down. So
Okay.
based on their trust, based on their confidence of me, I have made that decision to accept the nomination. And if I may, at this point in time, for those of you who are watching and who are members of the People's National Congress Reform, let me publicly state my gratitude, my appreciation to you for giving me that nomination.
Okay, perfect, good. So I know the nomination means a lot to you.
Yes.
As vice, and of course I know you're also minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, which we're going to try to see if we have enough time to talk about some of what is happening. What can Annette Ferguson, not only as a youth face, but as a female, and not only female, it would be, and viewers, especially PNC members who are watching, this is not an attack on our leaders, but I'm asking, what would you, in that bracket, in terms of a senior position in the party, mean? Because, again, your face would, and I said the same thing to Tanda, it's refreshing, your face would be different from what is normally there, the normal. What change do you think you can bring at this point in time?
Malika, I can bring a lot of changes.
You said that with a smile.
Why have I said that? It is because, let us look at the organization of the People's National Congress Reform. We have several organs. Besides our constitution, you have the youth arm of the party and the women's arm of the party. And we know that those are the bedrock of the People's National Congress Reform. And not forgetting the groups within the various regions and districts. But for me, I have had an outlook of where our party is at this point in time. More so, I'm concerned about, the youths, the youth arm of our party. And for some time, it seems as though that this particular organization has been lost somewhere or the other. So my vision, whomever that person would be in terms of the chairmanship of the party, I am willing to work towards rebuilding the youth arm of the People's National Congress Reform. I am committed to revitalizing the women's arm of the People's National Congress Reform. Why do I say this? I recall in my younger days, my mom was a member of the People's National Congress Reform, and she was also a part of the women's arm. And I vividly recall, they were involved in a lot of skills training, right? They were empowered at that level, right? So I firmly believe we need to go back to some of those times where we can mobilize our women, mobilize our young people, so that they not only become members to grow the membership, but also as leaders, as senior leaders within the party, we must find ways and means of empowering our membership. So that would be my vision, right, towards working in reorganizing the two main pillars of our party.
In terms of a concern, especially for the GYSM, the youth arm of itself, because and again, this is a discussion, and it's not really a battle, but the GYSM may want to rebut and accuse, because we know this is just to remind people, the PNCR is the largest party in our coalition government. The fact is, though, especially their young members, whether within the GYSM or without, because I know the GYSM can use this as a rebuttal, they feel as though persons, especially young people, you may be used as an example, I'm not saying that the case, who would have elevated to higher office, especially in government office, they feel that those persons would not have done enough for them. How would you deal with, if it's a youth arm that the party is not necessarily satisfied with how it has been functioning? How would you deal with the youth arm saying, okay, maybe we're not functioning because we haven't been given the opportunities that we were expecting to get? How do you respond to that?
Well, first thing, Malika, if there is a problem, you need to get to the root of the problem. The youth arm, in its current construct, has an executive body. So first thing, you need to engage the executive body. Find out what are some of the challenges, what are some of your constraints that you're faced with. And based on what is told to you, then you'll able to strategize, come up with solutions, how we can move forward. So once I'm elected, that would be my first approach towards the youth arm of the People's National Congress reform. And once we can work together, then I can be that voice within the government body to represent the youth arm of the people's, and not only of the People's National Congress reform, but holistically we know
Youths
what in general, exactly.
And you believe that you will have support of leadership, on higher leadership and leadership on your level to do it.
Exactly.
All right, great. We have a few minutes more. We really want to get to some public infrastructure business, but before we come off of your bid for chairperson, just want to give you enough space and enough opportunity again, apart from the things that you said that you would do, because we all know that the voting day is usually on the last day. Yeah. Especially for our younger members who may be watching, a final bid as to, again, why they should vote Annette Ferguson for vice chairperson. Well,
besides my academic, I think I am industrious, very hardworking. I am committed to any cause, right? And I have an integrity that can withstand any scrutiny, right? And I firmly believe that I have what it takes to fit the position as vice chairperson of the People's National Congress reform.
All right, great. Well, as a female, I wish you all the best. As I did say earlier, I'm also pro-woman and pro-youth. So I am going to support female. I know if the director of sport is watching, he is also a candidate, and he may be wondering what's happening here. Yes. But hopefully I'll have him on Facing the Nation next week to speak for himself. But let's move on to some other matters. I mean, we just have about another 15 or 10 minutes left or so. What is happening with public infrastructure? And you may be taken to task sometimes. The Ministry of Public Infrastructure is being taken to task. There are so many things that people are complaining about. One of the main problems, I don't know if you're in a position to give an update, is the long stretch of road when you get off of the East Bank coming right around to Sheriff Street. What is the position on that? Where is the project? For those who haven't been following, public wants to know.
Thank you very much, Malika, to answer your very first question. What is happening in public infrastructure? A number of things have been happening over the past couple of months within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. So to go to your second question with respect to the corridor, the Sheriff Mandela corridor, we all are aware that a contract was awarded to a Chinese firm, Sinodro, construction firm out of China. It's an IDB funded project. So Sinodro, they won the bid. The commencement order was done in the month of March of 2018. So they were given the approval to commence the construction. But as it is to date, nothing has started. Right? There's no machinery, there's no material mobilized, along the project corridor there. So this afternoon, we would have held several meetings with the constructing firm, expressing our dissatisfaction to them. So this afternoon, myself and Minister Patterson and the team out at Ministry of Public, our technical staff, we will be meeting with them to probably come up with a final position. And when that is discussed, then we have to go back to Cabinet for Cabinet to give objection to the recommendations that will be now put forward by the Ministry of Public Infrastructure on the way forward. But as it is, the contract the project should have commenced. Since March of 2018, the commencement order was signed.
It is, and this is not to put you in the hot seat, really, but at the end of the day, that is, most people can't get home without using that road. So you did say your recommendations would have to be sent to Cabinet and so on. In your head, is there a timeline with all of that happening when you an approximation as to when the works can begin there?
Well, Malika, I guess I don't want to say it publicly now.
Okay.
I guess coming out from the meeting this afternoon, then the ministry would put out a press release advising the general public where we are at the moment and where we intend to go with respect to that particular project. But we understand what is happening because I too traverse that corridor and it's very discomforting.
And not only the discomfort, the concern is there can possibly be an accident, because the fact is some drivers slow down because of the terrible state of the road, but others go through it, and I see vehicles going like this, and that is very dangerous, whether to oncoming or ongoing traffic. So it is
yes, but what I would want to say at this point in time, we know what's happening because I realize that there creeping potholes along the corridor. So what we at the level of the ministry will have to do is to put temporary measures in place. If we have to plug the holes, we will do so. But with the weather not being favorable to us during this period of time, it would be difficult for us to do any particular maintenance work on that stretch, because as soon as you put the asphalt and the rain smiles, it all washes away. And we don't want the general public, the taxpayers in particular, to say that, government is wasting their monies.
I'm sorry again, and viewers, this is my government too, but I have to tell you this. It is already being said, and I can give you a perfect example, and I know if you haven't seen it, you're probably told. So many of us, there is that junction at the East Bank where the traffic light is. That hole has been there for months, almost a year. Congratulations to public infrastructure. A few of us made a big uproar about it on social media, and 2 days after, the hole was filled. The problem that people are having with the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, though, is that hole was filled. I am telling you that the filling did not last for more than 2 weeks, the hole is there again. And it seems as though we have to wait another few months until the hole is filled. And viewers, I know people are at home saying, what's Malika talking about? That is not the only, I know that is not the only, but I'm talking about that area where people traverse every day. I know there are lots of other situations there, but viewers, remember, I can only speak about what I see every day. So why is it that these mending works that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is doing are not long lasting?
You know, I can answer that, Malika. Probably what is happening there, rather than us using the bitumen or the asphalt product, probably they use the hot mix.
Okay.
So the hot mix wouldn't give you a longer time period, right? But just yesterday I was speaking to one of the engineers, and he advised that the supplier who usually supplies the bitumen, I think they're yet to supply the ministry with the bitumen. So what we are doing temporarily is just using the coal mix. So obviously you will see what you would have experienced on that particular area, but it will be fixed.
All right.
It will be fixed.
Great. Well, we're happy to hear that. In just about 5 minutes, because I know you can't get to everything in 5 minutes, but what else would you like the public to know in terms of the positives that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure would have been recently involved in to ensure that all of Guyana benefits?
Well, Malika, a lot of, as I said in my not really in my opening remarks, but when I was given the opportunity to touch on MOPI, I did say that a lot has been happening in the Ministry of Public Infrastructure. You know, you're seeing the works being done on the East Bank Demerara corridor, the installation of the 5 pedestrian overpass. We're currently putting in the elevators. So just before the end of the year, we should have those overpass commissioned.
Even though people are using them.
Exactly. On the east coast of Demerara, we have China Rail Engineering Company. They are currently doing the roadway expansion from Better Hope to Annadale. So we'll be making that stretch there a 4-lane road. Then and that should be completed before the end of 2018, and then we will see the continuation of the road upgrade from Annadale to Better Hope. So that will be completed in 2019, right? So a lot of things are happening. We got it, the expansion out at the Chedijagan International Airport that continues to move apace. So before the end of this month, early September 2018, we should have the new terminal building commissioned. So at least the traveling public would, you know, have some comfort whenever they arrived at the terminal there. Outside of that, we would be making a roundabout on just when you come out from the airport stretch there. Okay. When you leave the airport, you come south just before you turn off in the western direction. So we'll be having a roundabout there. What else is happening? What else? So many things. The Palmyra Monument, the Indian Monument, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure will be constructing that monument, and it is expected to be completed by October of this year. In time of the President of India, the Prime Minister of India is expected to be here in November. So we want to ensure all of that is completed. So outside of these major projects that we are currently involved in at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, we continue to give support in the various communities, in the various townships, in the various NDC areas, you know, because people got issues with roads, people got issues with lights, people got issues with drainage. And we know, you know, I've been, you know, emphasizing strongly from time to time when I, you know, get to these forums, you know, just to educate our people that the Ministry of Public Infrastructure has its responsibilities. The NDCs, the municipality, they too have their responsibilities. But from time to time, because of their current financial situation, the Ministry of Public Infrastructure will give the necessary support. So I know time is not on our side this
today.
afternoon. But rest assured, I will return, so at least I can let the viewing public know what are some of the things they can expect, just before 2018 ends, and what to expect for 2019.
For 2019, All right. Well, we appreciate the little time that you spent with us. You have partially made up for not coming more often and updating us on what's happening in public infrastructure. But we understand. We'll give you a free pass this time.
No trouble. Thank you very much, Malika. And just before we bring the curtains down, I just want to make my final pitch, because I don't think I would be here before the 19th of August. But for those of you out there who are viewing us at this point in time, I urge you, and I'm lobbying at this point in time to give me your full support come the 19th of August 2018 for the position as Vice Chair of the People's National Congress Reform. With those few words being said, thank you very much for having me in your home, and may God richly bless us all. Thank you.
All right, wonderful, and thank you very much. Those of you who are now tuning in, this would have been a conversation with the Minister within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure and candidate for Vice Chairperson of the People's National Congress Reform, the Honorable Annette Ferguson. And of course, if you've missed the conversation, you can always tune in later on today on my YouTube channel and of course my Facebook page. We'll take a very quick break. On the other side of the break, we'll deal with some housekeeping matters and then wrap up today's program. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying tuned. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have with you this week. As always, thank you very much for supporting Facing the Nation. I'd like to take this opportunity once again to also thank Ms. Tandai McAllister for coming on our program today. And those of you who've been following me on social media know I've been promoting 3 candidates for Vice Chairperson. I know there were other nominations, but I haven't heard of any other ones publicly accepting. But the 3 I've been promoting have publicly accepted, and I've had the pleasure of talking with 2 of them today, Ms. Tandai McAllister and Ms. Annette Ferguson. I hope to have the Director of Sport next week, Mr. Christopher Anderson Jones, because he has also accepted the nomination. With the 3 that I'm promoting, remember that the structure, our party's structure, provides for 2 of them. I am promoting 3, and I don't want to be accused of giving more and not giving enough to another. And this is really and truly an interesting competition, and despite the naysayers, we're keeping it clean, and it's really a friendly competition. And as I say, there are a group of us within the party, not necessarily only the GYSM, but a group of younger persons within the party. We might not be the younger adults or the older teens, but a group of us have decided to use the positivity of youth energy and to push that and to move away and to stay away from the negativity. So remember that it's all positive competition and good competition that is needed. I always remind people, 3 persons, 4 persons, 5 persons cannot run a political party. 3 persons, 4 persons, 5 persons cannot run a country. We're all from the same political party, and we're doing everything that we possibly can to promote a positive image and contribute not only to our political party, the growth of our political party, but also contribute to the growth and development of this beautiful country of ours. On that note, I am going to leave you for this week. Again, next week I hope to be talking with the Director of Sport. Until next time, I'm Malika Ramsey. Be good Guyanese citizens. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. And of course, this has been Facing the Nation.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of CNS Channel 6.